let's focus on what we know and what we can deliver. Lighting, clearly. Air, water, no, maybe not.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Besides, do you want to be a plumber? How many integrators do you know want to start touching plumbing? No thanks.
The money in plumbing is pretty good.
Oh, it is, yes. The damage is instantaneous, however. So
Yes, that's true.
This is Al Brodsky from Al Brodsky's Department Stores. I have a big flood over here. So get all your plumbers, get extra plumbers, bring every plumber.
On this episode of ResiWeek, we talk 5 years of wellness, customer expectations, and new expo vendors. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek. This is ResiWeek, episode 493, Set the Expectations. Welcome to this episode of ResiWeek. This is your weekly roundup of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott for AVNation.tv, and this week I'm pleased to be joined by two of my longstanding friends. First, we have Mr. Mitchell Klein. He's the VP of Business Strategy over at CEDIA. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm having a great summer, and Matt, always great to be with you and with Joe again.
Yeah, well, the person that he mentioned there is the one and only Mr. Joe Whitaker. He's the VP of Commercial at Origin Acoustics. How are you, Joseph?
Doing well. Living life. Glad to be on with you guys again.
Hey, we are glad that both of you are here. All right, gentlemen, we are going to kick this off with a story that comes to us from CE Pro. 5 years later, what's become of the COVID era home wellness boom? Y'all remember that time back when we were super concerned about air quality and lighting, a little bit of water concerns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Go read the article. Nick does a great job kind of covering the bases of those concerns, those wellness verticals, if you will, et cetera, and kind of where they stand today. Where I wanted to go with this, Mitch, was I don't think wellness is necessarily dead, but I do think that there has been a fair amount, shall we say, of client exhaustion, and they're kind of over the fear that revolved around COVID when it comes to, wellness in their home. Is that where you see this market having shifted?
No question. COVID really raised awareness of what we're breathing, right? And so a lot of concern about the air quality and things in the home, the water quality. Mm-hmm. And I think that the desire to be able to deliver solutions exceeded the solutions available at the time. And I still think it exceeds the available solutions right now. So I think what happened was there was client demand, and it was a great conversational topic, and the media picked up on it. And then an integrator looks at his bag of tricks and says, well, I don't really have the solution. I got portable devices, which is apparently where things have been moving towards, right? Especially with air quality. Mm-hmm. So the solutions haven't yet matched up where the demand was. And therefore, I think the interest has sort of faded away from an integrated perspective. And I just don't think it's being pushed any longer. Of course, the huge exception is lighting, which, of course, that's something, maybe we can talk about a little bit later. But, other than the lighting side of it, water, air, audio, acoustics, things like that, just, the solutions just aren't there. That's been some of the challenges.
Yeah, that's a great point. Joe, I agree with Mitch that the water conversation is minimal at best. The air quality, again, I'm in an area that gets all this wildfire smoke all summer long, it seems. We don't have that conversation with clients. They want to talk about it, but they don't want to address it in any way, in any significant manner. Lighting is the one that still matters, but I've noticed that the lighting conversation has changed. It's shifted from, as the article also points out, it shifted away from human-centric lighting, from circadian rhythm, into more just an accessible, I want them to dim warm. I just want to be able to get better control of my lighting and have better quality lighting in the house. What are you seeing with lighting from kind of the utopia that was broached during COVID versus the real world landscape that it's in today?
I could cover all three at one time because you have
Okay.
water, air, and light, right? So you have all of them. During the pandemic, me and some of the Origin people, we were actually designing an architectural air filtration system for each room and realized a big thing. During and post pandemic, everybody got tired of hearing about it, right?
Yeah.
Stop telling me how to breathe. And then the theory background process behind it of doing your home, the science is so conflicting, right? When you make your house pressure tested and you're just recycling that air, that's actually bad for you by not bringing air from the outside in, which defeats the purpose of a pressure tested house, which defeats the purpose of actually the filtration point. Like the science has not made up their mind, right? Same thing with water. What are you going to do? Reverse osmosis, salination. It gets processed at a plant. If you're not in Flint, Michigan, or someplace like South Texas with high naturally occurring levels of fluoride where they're not even adding it, and now that's a problem. Nobody cares, right? That's the city's job to clean my water unless I'm on a well. So once again, nobody cares. They're not telling them. Lighting goes right along with them. Okay. If you were trying to do circadian rhythm for health or lighting tones for health, that only in theory works in like 40% of the areas of your room. Because if you're with a really sharp knife at your kitchen island, you have to use task lighting. Mm-hmm. You cannot use anything in the circadian rhythm spectrum. I'm sorry, you're like, way up there to actually be able to do a task. Same thing with the bathroom or somebody sitting at a vanity trying to do hair and makeup. No. Those kelvins are really high with their lumens, really high. That's not something even in what you would consider a chart for circadian rhythm. So much of that is conflicting sciences, right?
Yeah.
You see the argument every day on TV with RFK, like whose science are you going to believe or watch or follow? And that makes the electrical, the CEDIA industry and all of them not be able to adopt an accepted platform that has been proven by doctors in science. So selling snake oil, whichever side you sit on, it's not going to work until somebody comes out with a document from the government or from medical that says, here is true healthy. There you go. And that's been the problem ever since we try to push it. Circadian rhythm's cool, but you're right. The most popular thing right now is dim to warm, which has nothing to do with it. So figuring it out, that's the one thing. Can we actually prove it's healthy and not have another conflicting medical or scientific fact to contradict the health that we're trying to promote? That's where the problem is.
Do you think there's an exhaustion level? The pushback that we've, and again, anybody who listens to the show knows that we sell a ton of lighting, etc. The pushback that we get anytime we bring up anything that is scientifically related, they don't want to hear it. Customers are tired of being belched on with science. Is it just pure exhaustion that's kind of stagnated this industry?
I think it's pure exhaustion because it's coming from people who do not have doctorates. It's marketing staffs and integration companies and electrical companies. I would love for, you to go to the doctor and say, I have migraines. And they go, okay, I'm prescribing you circadian rhythm lighting. Boom, done. There you go. That's what we need. But that's the true fact of it is we're stating medical statements that they might be able to look up on Google or might be able to put into ChatGPT, but it's never coming from their optometrist or it's never coming from their, GI doctor for water, or it's never coming from their practitioner for lungs, for air.
Yeah.
Like they're hearing it from us, but their doctors never told them that's why they have migraines and that's why they can't breathe and that's why their pee is orange. Like we don't have that side to back us up.
There's also fatigue on technology itself. Mm-hmm. I mean, how much technology do people want in their home? They're actually simplifying things and not going more and more deeper into technology. And how many topics is an integrator going to bring up? How many things are you going to talk about? Right? Where's the value? And then where are the solutions? So it's a bunch of things that have really come together to say, you know what, let's focus on what we know and what we can deliver. Lighting clearly, air, water, maybe not.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Besides, do you want to be a plumber? How many integrators do you know want to start touching plumbing? No thanks.
Or appliances. Like we've said this for a long time.
The money in plumbing's pretty good.
Oh, it is. Yes. The damage is instantaneous, however. So
Yes, that's true. All right, gentlemen, let's change topics for a second. This comes to us from Residential Systems and a good friend of the show, Mr. Henry Clifford. A lesson in customer experience from the beaches of Marbello. As we all seem to do, Henry decided to go to Spain for a holiday, rented a beach house. Long and short, that Airbnb listing did not exactly live up to real world expectations once they arrived. There were a litany of issues that arose that caused, his Spanish holiday to maybe not be the one he was looking for. Go read through the article. It is both a comical and exhausting story, if I can say that, on the joys of renting a house versus, man, just stay in a Marriott. It's great.
yeah, look where I am. I mean, you can see the courtyard right behind me. Yes,
Literally stay in the Marriott. Long and short, they had a bunch of drama. He tried to come to a solution and got bounced around between Airbnb, and again, I'm not throwing shade at Airbnb. Airbnb, the project, the properties manager, the rental company, like the whole kick. There was just a whole bunch of problems that ended up being something that he obviously wrote the article about, and kind of asked the question of, customer experiences. Joe, I do want to start with you on this because I feel like we've all kind of had this issue in some way, shape, or form, in whatever size and scale you want, where there's a problem. You try to either ask questions or answer questions, and what seems to be a simple issue isn't. It just gets caught in the muck. Whether people are polite about it or shouting about it doesn't seem to matter. Just problems happen. How do you deal with the combination of kind of taking ownership over a problem, as well as dealing with something honestly without exposing yourself to more problems?
Man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Gosh. Well, because there's really two different answers, right? Because we have our residential answer, and then we have our hospitality answer, which is what he experienced. Those answers are actually two different things, right? The taking a responsibility thing, and this is, everybody write this down. You never have to take responsibility if you set the expectations correctly.
Yeah.
Right? You never have to set the expectations up front. This is for residential, right? If you set the expectations, it's going to do X, Y, and Z. You push button 1, 2, and 3, and this is what's going to happen. And are you comfortable with this app? Do you have questions? Here are its limitations. Here's what it's going to do. We're going to do good, easy to use lighting, good, easy to use music, good, easy to use security and surveillance, and whatever those categories may be that you're offering. Residential is actually pretty easy. You set the expectations up front, and you never really have to take that accountability unless your design sucks or one of your guys messed up on the job site, right? I broke a glass table. Okay, fine. I'll accept responsibility. We'll do that. But on the UI side, the user experience side, no, if you set the expectations correctly, you really never have to do that. You don't have to take that. Like Sonos is a great example. People know what they get just by going on Reddit and what year they went on Reddit, right? They know right off the bat what they're going to get. Hospitality, what Henry experienced is a little different, right? Because those expectations are never set by the custom integrator. They never are. Yeah. These are by architects, designers, and specifiers that said, we need Crestron in this area. We need no control in this area. We need this lighting. We need this music. That is set by somebody else. So unless you deviate, it's the piece of paper you were given, right? Yeah. However, being able to express to those people before somebody has to apologize on what are the expectations in a hospitality environment, especially a hotel room or a cottage, it's to make it as easy as possible. Skip the touch screen. They know how to use an on or off switch. use that in the back end for a building management system so you can turn it off after they're done or turn it off before they actually get to the room. But keep it simple. Best example is TVs that now have a QR code so you can attach your own personal Netflix to it, and it kills itself when you check out. That kind of simplicity is what's needed, because you never know if you're going to have the 90-year-old or you're going to have the Gen Z person in that room. You've got a big spectrum. You're always going to leave somebody out unless you keep it super simple. So my point is, he is right. Henry is right about, accepting that responsibility, being accountable. But if your business process and your mentality going into it is correct, you should never be put in that position unless an honest mistake was made.
Yeah.
So preparation and planning, setting expectations, you never have to be put in that uncomfortable position.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Mitch, when you read something like this, is it possible to balance unreal expectations with valid concerns?
First of all, let's back up a moment. And the fundamental flaw in this particular case was that the description didn't match up to what they actually existed. That's fundamental flaw number one. Fundamental flaw number two was the stuff didn't perform either. So first of all, he didn't get what he expected when he got there. And expectations is something Joe's talking about. Set your expectations right. You're not going to have to apologize or take ownership of anything that you didn't already comment on. The other piece of it was that stuff didn't work, didn't get air conditioning in a room, things like that. Okay. And in that case, you know what? You just got to take responsibility and handle it. I mean, bottom line, it's all about the social network. It's all about delivering what the expectations are. And if the expectations don't match up with what you gave them in the first place, you need to adapt. You need to adapt what you're delivering and deliver on those expectations.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, gentlemen, let's hit our last story of the day. This comes to us from CE Pro. CEDIA Expo /CIX signs over 50 new exhibitors for 2025. There's a variety of companies that are listed in this announcement, with companies from audio installation tools, garage door access people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a bunch of stuff in there. Mitch, when you see this, when you see the expansion and the addition of a bunch of new vendors, is this showing an interest from vendors in the CEDIA channel? Is this showing CEDIA members and the show, et cetera, looking to expand into new avenues? What is it? What's the takeaway from this, other than excitement that there's new people?
Yeah, simple answer, yes. Okay, but in reality, you do, of course, all listeners know that CEDIA does not own that show floor, doesn't own the expo piece of it anymore. However, we do work closely with Emerald, who owns the floor, and try and certainly recruit who we can recruit in. So based on the previous experience, I had 10 years in semiconductors and working with companies that no one's ever heard of before, but yet delivering product. There are tons and tons, hundreds of companies out there with solution products that would be appropriate for our channel. There should be no end to new companies coming in based on our invitation and our outreach to bring them in. I won't say we've done a great job of the outreach, but they're still, their teams, their marketing teams, their sales teams are looking for the channels like ours. This is a really great opportunity for a company that's looking to establish their foothold in the U.S. because CEDIA can help them. There's a lot of international companies that can do it. And of course, internationally beyond that as well. So what amazes me is how the naming conventions, oh my God, I mean, just Kukla and what was the other one? KII. How do you pronounce that?
No idea.
I think some of the marketing folks kind of lost their way and realized that, well, you got to be able to pronounce the name in order to actually understand and do business with them. But I digress.
We've had that problem in this channel for a long time.
Always. Yes. But I think it's exciting for a CEDIA attendee, an expo attendee, to come and see what new stuff is there and really make the effort to get to the smaller booth, to the folks kicking the tires, for the folks that are looking for your input. I got this new shading widget or this new lighting widget or new audio widget, take a look at them because they got some really cool things, whomever they happen to be,
Yeah.
And I think that we may not give enough credence to that aspect of an event like this, of any of these trade shows, is go and see some of the little things, the little guys, what they're coming up with. So anyway, I think it's an exciting time.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, Joe, wrap this up for me. I'm excited to see new companies coming in. I'm excited to see also some new companies that are coming in verticals that we somewhat know, but with a new spin on it. What I'm curious about is, we just talked about focusing on stuff in the previous story. How do you mesh those two? How do you mesh going to a show to see the companies and the verticals that well with also looking for new opportunities and maybe adding something new to your portfolio?
It's actually an easy answer. Like, seriously, it is. There's not an ISE US. There's not. And, Infocom and CEDIA getting together and doing one together, I've been around those discussions before. Slightly unlikely.
Don't count on it.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I was going to let Mitch, official answer over there. I'm just an outsider. But, however, you can't take one of our CEDIA members, right? Somebody from our channel, and dump them into Infocom. They will get lost. You cannot take them and put them in IBS over there at the International Builders Show or KBIZ. They will get lost. Watch them get lost at CES, right?
Yeah.
Now, bringing those opportunities and those brands into what we've always known as CEDIA Expo, now mixing in some of the commercial, right? That is a much more friendly way to do it because they can do brand and type association. Oh, if I do this brand in residential, right over there, because I can see it, there's a brand just like this one, but they're specific for commercial. For me, that's always been one of the magic things about ISE. When I go, I can see the stuff I do in resi, and I can find stuff in the commercial hospitality market that matches my business structure already in residential. Yeah. We do not have that in the US, at all. And all of us know that if we're touching electrical products or commercial products or resi products, 90% of the time we are talking to a different product manufacturing rep firm. We're not talking to the same ones that we're talking to for commercial as our residential ones. Those are very few and far between. That whole CIX with CEDIA together, to me, I've always said, I've told all the guys at Emerald since the beginning, that's the golden ticket right there. We're never going to have that in the US. And somebody's got to put their foot down and do this, because all this technology is eventually going to blend together. We all three of us witnessed this happen with networking 15, 20 years ago,
yep.
Right? This is going to continue to happen where our audience has to touch more and more types of electrical devices and technologies that are outside of our norm and outside of our normal jurisdiction of what we do every day. And it's going to continue to happen. And there has to be a building with a roof where they can see all of those different things. And you see manufacturers doing it as well. So I think it's a good move. And to be honest, it didn't matter who did it. But somebody had to do this. Somebody had to make this move.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, gentlemen, let's leave it there. Thank you both so much for joining us. Mitch, if people want to connect with you, learn more about CEDIA, where can they do that?
You can always go to cedia.org or reach out to me, mklein@cedia.org, or find me on LinkedIn. And always look forward to hearing from everyone.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Mr. Whitaker, if people want to connect with you, learn more about Origin Acoustics, where can they do that?
They can always find us on originacoustics.com, all over the socials. You can find me on the socials. If you want to drag me into one of those conversations in some group, just stick a little @Joe Whitaker on there, and I bet you I'm already a member of that group, so I'll jump in there too. And everybody knows I like people to contact me directly. You can always hit me, joe@originacoustics.com. I'm here to answer questions about our brands or brands that aren't ours. I'm just here to help.
I love it. All right. Thank you again for joining us. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find me at Matt D. Scott on most of the socials. But more importantly, please visit AVNation.tv, where you'll find this show as well as a wide variety of other shows with all the verticals that we cover. When you visit the website, please take a moment to check out our supporters. We are extremely thankful for their support and ask that you check them out as well. Thanks again for watching. That's all the time we have for this episode of ResiWeek,
the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
This is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.